Hello everyone and welcome back. Finally, again, I know, to episode 6. I know it's been about 2 weeks or a little bit over since the last episode of this came out, but I'm hopefully going to be able to get back in the swing of things. I don't know. I'm not even going to make any promises. I'm just going to say that I'm going to keep making these videos for sure. I'm not going to stop making these videos. They will keep coming, even if they're 2 weeks apart or something like that. I will go ahead and say about my ABZU series. My game got a little bit bugged and I wasn't able to save the recording, so I'm not sure if I'm going to go back. It was really disheartening. I may just keep the one episode that I have up right now, but I'm not sure. I may try to come back to that game in the future, but for right now I'm going to go ahead and just set it off to the side, and I apologize about that. But of course I'm going to make up for it with other games, and of course episodes of this game as well, Will, A Wonderful World. Now, in the last episode, we did Chang and Kang's here. Or sorry, we did Kang's and Alicia's stories, and Alicia, nothing really happened to her. Her situation didn't change, but that's good because all of the outcomes that I believe that I found were negative for her in the way of her dying or getting hurt or things getting worse for her. But right now, things are absolutely fine. I mean, they're not fine, but at least they're not worse. For Kang, they're looking way up. As you can see, he got an S rank ending. Things are looking really good for him. But since he is an investigator, I'm assuming that somehow that's going to cross over with Alicia and Carlos here. Hopefully Carlos will be able to find Alicia due to Kang. But for now, since we did Alicia and Kang's stories, outcomes should have changed for Carlos and Chang here, and hopefully they will have good endings. I'm going to go ahead and just, I guess I can continue back with my sister. Let's go ahead and just click on this. There's one more thing that could help with your work. That's history. History? That sounds like something I can use to review all of the endings that I've unlocked, right? Smart girl. Every ending you have come across is archived there. When you run into something that's too complicated, try referring to the history for inspiration. Alright, I'll go ahead and look into the history here. Oh, one more thing. That worked out. Oh, one more thing. I have another small tip to tell you about the history archives. In here, we can browse all of the possible endings to a letter. They are displayed on the right. Furthermore, they are arranged in the same order as the small squares you see when you open a letter. They are arranged in this order: S, A, B, C, D, E, F, and X. The ending with one small I is the one you are currently viewing. I see. I think this could help with my deductions too, when the number of endings increase. Exactly. As for how you want to use it, that's totally up to you. Alright, so we have this ending here. I'm not going to go too much into detail here. I can click on the different ones. So now let's see if we have any new options. I'm not sure. I'm going to go ahead and just go back here. I'm going to click next letter. Look at his. I'm going to look into his history, see what endings we have here. These are all X endings that are bad, X rank endings, but hopefully we can get some good endings here. And like I said, I'm going to start off with Carlos's letter here. We can just get right back into it. We're going to retry. We had a bad rank D and a bad ending right now. Let's go ahead and retry. Let's see what things are going to go on here. If we just stick with these things that happen, let me see. Let's see what happens if the fire truck finally arrives for Carlos and he walks over there, but then for Chang, his cell phone rings and then falls to the ground. Let's see if somehow this is going to make a difference. It looks like it's only going to make things different for Chang, but I'm not sure, so let's go ahead and see here. Oh, this is an ending I already have, I believe. Yes, I'm an idiot. Okay. For the B rank ending here, all he did was walk over there. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's try that again, but we're going to order things around different. He just walks over there. For him, let's see. The fire truck arrives first. His phone falls to the ground and then rings. It looks like things are going to change for both of them. Is this an ending I've already done? For Carlos, yes. For him, it's that one. Oh, I found a new combination here. Let's see what's gonna happen. Who the hell would be calling me at this godforsaken moment? I turned around and answered the phone quietly. It was from the station. They told me something important had happened to the unit, and I must get back as soon as possible and await further instructions. But things went well. For Chang. Let's see. I hung up the phone and turned around, only to realize that the couple had disappeared from the ledge. Fortunately, the fire department had set up a cushion below. You moron, do you know how big of a mess you've made? That case wasn't even under our jurisdiction. Back at the station, Lieutenant Chang was outraged. He was yelling at me so loudly that the entire building could hear him. The hospital later called and informed us that the couple was okay. However, the wife had been 4 months pregnant, and they couldn't save the baby. I was suspended due to the serious consequences caused by my reckless, unauthorized actions. Well, things went bad for him. Let's see if things went differently for Carlos. I believe they did. Someone quickly ran past me and bumped into my arm. My phone was knocked out of my hand, and it stopped at another man's feet. The fire trucks hadn't arrived yet. However, this man in a black trench coat seemed to have summoned a lot of people to help put out the fire. He picked up my phone with his left hand and saw my sister's picture. Then he asked me in English what my relationship was with her. Oh shit, this is good. Okay, this is good. This is good. It's getting somewhere. There was no expression on his face the entire time. After hearing my explanation, he tossed the phone back to me. Then he said, "Come back here tomorrow." You know my sister? I walked up to him in excitement, but a huge man in a black suit stopped me. The man in the trench coat looked like he wasn't going to answer any of my questions anymore and turned his attention back to his men and the fire. The suit guy seemed like he was twice my size. He looked down upon me, and I could see a deep scar on his face. Fine. I would come back tomorrow. Still, I never thought I would find a clue about Alicia just like this. The Lord must be blessing us. Sister, we would soon meet again. I just knew it. Wow, so things went really well for Carlos, and they apparently went really well for Chang as well, except, he got suspended. Let's see if this brought any new letters in. I believe, hopefully, it did. No, it did not. We got better endings for those. Do I need to make better endings here for Lee Win and Jimmy? I think I'm actually going to come back over here to Lee Win and Jimmy, see if I can find some different outcomes here. I didn't really explore them too much, so let's see what we can find here. Alright, I think we're going to try this layout here. I don't believe that I've tried this before. It looks like it's going to change both of their stories. Hopefully it does. She is going to rush forward and swing, and he is going to take a step to the right and twist his ankle. Let's see. Oh yes, it is new. Let's see what happens. Things are only going to change for her. Even worse, the ball went straight into the back of Jimmy's head. Jimmy passed out. Oh no, did I just give him a concussion? But I clearly remember that he was standing much further left, wasn't he? Oh, bad ending for both of them. Let's see what happens if he just has a twisted ankle. He doesn't even... She takes a step to the right and rushes forward and swings. Looks like things will change for both of them. Ooh, yes, alright, new ending here. Let's see what happens. The ball flew past me. I was expecting to hear her hitting the ball, but I heard nothing. I turned around and saw her sitting on the ground, hunched over. Did she just get hit by the ball? People were already gathering around. Someone mentioned the infirmary. I suppose someone would take her there any moment now. Honestly, I wish that someone could be me. Our teacher walked over. You, take her to the infirmary. Wait, he was speaking to me? Oh my gosh, the goddess of fortune must have heard my wish. Yes, Jimmy, that's exactly what happened. Let's see what happened to Lee Win. The ball was to my left, but I was stumbling to my right. Not only did I not hit the ball, I even lost my racket. And for some reason, my stomach suddenly started hurting. Why? Was it because I hadn't had time for breakfast this morning? 7-9. We lost. I lost. I took 2 pills in the infirmary and felt a little bit better. I lay down on the bed. Everything around me was white, and it made me feel sleepy. Jimmy said he wanted to keep me company, so he was sitting beside my bed. I thought maybe I should talk to him a little so that it would feel less awkward. However, I think I was too exhausted, and I fell asleep. So things went well for Jimmy, but not for her. Well, let's see. Let's go into the history here. Let's see if I can get a better ending for her. Right here, let's see. That's a new ending. Let's see. All 3. So let's see if she rushes forward, swings, and then takes a step to the right. Let's see what happens. Ooh, it looks like things are going to change for both of them. New ending. Woo, I'm getting all the new endings. Yes. I took a swing at the ball, but I almost tripped. I had to take another step to stop myself from falling over. The tennis ball flew over the net, kissed the baseline, compressed, and bounced up. Then it was stuck in the wired fence around the court. Yay, match point saved! Rocky was such a sneaky bastard. With Jimmy barely able to move, now he was aiming every ball at him. But Jimmy was able to get out of my way almost every time too, even with a twisted ankle. We were coordinating surprisingly well. After a while, Chang was left standing there too. The game had become a singles match between Rocky and me. Maybe Jimmy was a lucky charm, because we eventually won the game 15-13. Things are going to go good for both of them. Yes, okay, this is good, this is good. What a great partner. I had won my chocolate milk. Get fucking chocolate milk, man. Hooray. Okay, maybe things aren't going to go well for Jimmy, but maybe he'll feel good because she's excited that they won. I don't know. I fell to the ground and my ankle hurt like hell. Fortunately, we still won the point thanks to her. Now our opponents were hitting the ball towards me almost exclusively, but Lee Win was too good. And eventually we won. More importantly, she ran over and high-fived me. Oh, so this is what he looks like. Things are going well for him. His ankle got twisted, but you know what? That doesn't matter. I wasn't just daydreaming about this. She really did just give me a high five. Her hand felt so warm. I would never forget that moment. Emoji. God, they both got rank S endings. Alright, I'm satisfied with that. Yes, we got some new letters! And we get to see Jimmy here with his earbuds in. Nothing new for Carlos and Chang Min, sadly. And nothing new for Kang Bakyao or Alicia, but I don't think I can make Alicia's situation any better. Let's see what we got in here. From Lee Win. If only I could do it again. Strange teacher. The last class of the day was art. I pushed open the door to the classroom, and I was shocked by what I saw. What was happening? The room that usually had only a dozen people in it was now almost full. It was like a scene from a beach in the middle of a summer. There wouldn't be enough easels for everyone. Just when I was wondering whether I would leave and go study, I saw Jing waving me over from the front row. Why are there so many people today? I sat down at the seat Jing had saved for me. You really don't know anything, do you? Miss Liu is on her maternity leave, so we have a new substitute today. Somebody saw him earlier in the office and posted his pictures on the school BBS. He looked so handsome. I looked around and only then did I realize that almost all of the newcomers were girls. Why was Rocky here? What was a boy doing here? I took my phone out and tried to log into the BBS. I found myself unknowingly imagining what the new handsome teacher would look like while waiting for the page to load. Well-made pink shirt, rolled-up sleeves, top button unbuttoned, pale and flawless skin. Okay, this is getting a little erotic here. Impeccable face from the side. The Wi-Fi signal wasn't too good, and I couldn't log in for a long time. Then the front door of the room was slowly pushed open. With everyone staring at him, the new teacher slowly walked across to the podium and softly wrote down his name on the blackboard. Or softly wrote. Is that a... I don't think that's a word. I think it's just softly space wrote. Wen Xiaoren. Hey, it's Wen. I'll be teaching the art class for the seniors, starting today. I looked him up and down, and I noticed that this Mr. Wen was wearing flip-flops to class. His ensemble also included a pair of casual pants with the legs rolled up, a gray t-shirt, and a wrinkled jacket. Not just that, his chin suggested that he hadn't shaved for days. I turned to my side and whispered to Jing, "How is this old man handsome?" Jing ignored me. I looked up and realized that the teacher was staring right at me. Oh no, he must have overheard me. Suddenly, Rocky raised his hand and asked loudly, "Mr. Wen, how old are you, and do you have a girlfriend?" The entire class erupted into a loud murmur. Everyone was staring at the teacher even more intensely. Well, thank you, Rocky, for getting me out of trouble. Mr. Wen slowly took off his jacket and laid it on the back of the chair next to him. 35. The girls immediately began whispering to each other. His response certainly had intrigued everyone, even more. Rocky, however, didn't seem to be satisfied with the answer. Mr. Wen ignored the commotion in the room and took a banana-shaped statue out of the accessory cabinet. What? Banana-shaped statue. Okay. People with an easel began to prepare their paper. Oh, it's art class. What am I talking about? The ones without one took out their sketching pads. The class was going to be over soon. Near the end of the class, Mr. Wen said he would like to pick an assistant from the class. Anybody who was interested could stand up and nominate him or herself. However, he would need to check his or her sketch. Jing stood up. How brave. Mr. Wen walked over and picked up the sketch. He shook his head and tore it into two halves. Well! Sorry about that. I had to step away for a moment there. Anyways, let's get back into reading this. Rocky stood up from his seat. I stood up from my seat, too. And then the bell rang. Jing was sobbing, and I was completely in shock, too. Not only did Mr. Wen tear up her sketch, he even said to her, "Are you serious? Did you seriously just draw something like that? I will not tolerate this kind of thing in my class. We were just some regular high school students. We were not in an art school. Are you serious?" Rocky jumped right in front of the teacher. I tried to stop him, but it was too late. Rocky punched Mr. Wen right in the face. Oh wow, Rocky. Mr. Wen, however, didn't react, despite having just been hit by a student. He simply gave Rocky a glance and walked out of the room without saying a word. Rocky. He was always so self-righteous. The only thing more important in his life might be his ball games. I bet if the bell had rung and the class had been over, he wouldn't have bothered and would have gone off to play basketball. After that, Mr. Wen never came back to the class. Maybe someone filed a complaint about him. Or maybe... I had always had a feeling that he didn't look like he wanted to be a teacher. The next art teacher always dressed impeccably well. He was also incredibly dull. Well, I mean, it's a good trade-off. Li Wen. And that's that for Li Wen. Now, it's just her story alone, so let's see what I can change around here. So, let's see. If Rocky stood up If we stood up after the bell rang and he didn't punch the teacher in the face, let's see what happens. Jing was sobbing, and I was completely in shock, too. Not only did Mr. Wynn tear up her sketch, he even said to her, "Are you serious? Did you seriously just draw something like that? I will not tolerate this kind of thing in my class. We were just some regular high school students. We were not in an art school. Are you serious?" Boring. Rocky picked up his basketball from under his seat, casually walked out of the classroom, and disappeared into the after-class crowd that was filling the hallway. Other people were leaving as well, while talking with each other about what had just happened. Nobody ever mentioned picking an assistant ever again, either. I walked with Jing on the track field and told her dozens of jokes until she finally felt a little bit better. That old man, not only did he dress terribly, his temper was even worse. How could the school hire such a person to be a teacher? That's a good question. That's a rank A ending. That's not bad. That's not bad. Let me look at the history here. A at the top there. All right. Let's see if I can get a different ending. Let me try and get a rank S ending. Things went well, but let's see. Let's see if the bell rings after I stand up. What happens? Am I going to say something to him? Or not I, but Lee? Let's see, things do change. Ooh, it's a different ending. Let's see if it's a rank S ending. Jing was sobbing, and I was completely in shock, too. Not only did Mr. Wynn tear up her... Okay, I'm just gonna skip through this part. Oh. Seeing Jing cry like that, I couldn't control my anger. "Mr. Wynn, you are way out of line. You need to apologize to Jing." Mr. Wynn gave me a glance and picked up my sketch. Boring. Rocky picked up his basketball from under his seat, casually walked out of the classroom, and disappeared into the after-class crowd that was filling the hallway. Other people were leaving as well. There were fewer and fewer people left in the room. I collected my stuff into my backpack, getting ready to leave. You, stay and clean up the room. What? I stopped what I was doing and looked at Mr. Wynn in disbelief. He handed my sketch back to me. "After all, you're my assistant for this course now." He turned away and walked back to the front of the classroom. So, she drew something absolutely phenomenal, and he liked how she stood up for her friend, I guess, and that's why he decided to choose her as the assistant? And I just realized that everyone who was still in the room was staring at me. Everyone looked like they were gawking at a circus monkey on the street. What the hell? I had no intention of being a freaking assistant to this guy. Jing put her arm around my shoulder. "Congratulations! Let me buy you dinner sometime, you poor kid." I burst out laughing. Well, whatever. I guess I was at rank as it. Things went amazingly for her. I'm going to end that there. Let's see if we got... Oh, we did get a new letter. Let's see who for. Oh, we got 2 new letters. Maybe it's new people? Or maybe, hopefully, it's for Carlos and Chang Min there. Nope, for Lee Win and for Jimmy. Tennis and in the alley. Let's see here. Starting with Lee Win. I'm Lee Win, a senior at Yingnan High School. We already established this. Today, the new art teacher assigned me as his assistant for the class, so I had to stay after class and clean up the art classroom. I tried to sneak a few peeks at this strange teacher while I was reluctantly mopping the floor. He was looking over the sketches that had been left in the room one by one and then throwing them in the trash. There were only the 2 of us in the room. Neither of us were talking. "Hey, W, how was your first day?" It was my homeroom teacher, Miss Yang, who burst into the room and broke the silence. She said hello to me and held on to Mr. Win's arm like a little girl. According to what I had heard from Jing, Mr. Win and Miss Yang went way back. It was also Miss Yang who had recommended Mr. Wen for the newly vacant teaching position. The beautiful Miss Yang was said to be notoriously hard to get. Many male teachers in the school had allegedly been turned down by her. Was she involved with Mr. Wen? I grabbed the trash can and deliberately left the room. When I got back, there was no one there anymore. Someone appeared to have already replaced the barrel for the water dispenser, too. It seemed that I could finally go home. Yay. Yay indeed, Lee. Yay indeed, Lee. It was starting to get dark when I finally finished cleaning the classroom. I walked out of the school gate and I noticed that Mr. Wen was walking not too far in front of me, going in the same direction. That was strange. I thought he had left a while ago. Ooh, he was fucking Miss Yang. He was fucking Miss Yang. I didn't want to talk to him, so I stayed behind him at a distance, quietly watching his back. Such a bad-tempered and terribly dressed man. How exactly did he become a teacher again? That's a good question. Before I knew it, Mr. Wen had walked into the dark alley that led to my place. Oh. However, as soon as I stepped into the alley of myself, I suddenly felt something wrong, and I immediately backed out of the alley. Good girl, good. He knew. Mr. Wen had been stopped by two men, one in front of him and the other behind him. The one facing my direction was wearing a tank top. He flashed a pocket knife in Mr. Wen's face. I hid behind the corner and tried to peek around it. Mr. Wen took out his wallet and handed it over without any resistance. That was smart, I thought. Better safe than sorry. The tank top guy fiddled with the wallet for a while, then slammed it on the ground. 20? You think I'm a fucking beggar? He punched Mr. Wen in the face. Mr. Wen stumbled back and bumped into the guy behind him. He was still not resisting. The tank top guy placed his knife on Mr. Wen's face. Well, Mr. Wen kind of wanted to kill himself already, so... there's that. Be smart. Give me all your money. Judging from the look on his face, maybe that 20 yuan really was all Mr. Wen had. We were too far away from the main street, and there was no one else around who could help. I suddenly had an idea. I took my racket out of my bag and grabbed a tennis ball. How is this going to correspond with Jimmy's letter, because they did come in at the same time? I guess we'll have to see. This was the time to test the results of my nightly practices. Ball toss. Backswing. Please hit the target. Please. The ball was flying at the speed of 100... You clocked it? 180 kilometers per hour? You clocked it. You knew exactly. A gust of wind suddenly swept by. The ball was blown off its path by the wind, and it missed its target. Instead, it hit the back of Mr. Wen's head. God, Lee, what is with you and hitting people in the head? Mr. Wen fell down to the ground with a thud like a brick. The two men noticed me, and they seemed to be just as shocked as me. They must have thought I wanted to kill the man lying on the ground for some reason. The tank top guy took one step towards me. I began to picture how they would force me into the corner, pull a chainsaw out from behind them, and cut me to pieces. Oh no, I couldn't stay there any longer. I'm sorry, Mr. Wen. I screamed silently in my head and ran away with my hands covering my face, leaving Mr. Wen there by himself. The next day, Mr. Wen did not come to class. The school put out an announcement saying that he had been badly injured during a robbery and that he was in a coma at the hospital. God damn, was Lee the one that put him in a coma? Shit. The announcement also reminded the students to be careful on our way back home. It was all my fault. I shouldn't have left him alone. There must be a better way. Lee Wen. How did this correspond with Jimmy at all? I guess I'll have to see here in just a moment, but what? What? Or, I don't know if I said corresponds with Jimmy or corresponds with Mr. Wen, but I meant to say Jimmy if I said Mr. Wen. My name is Jimmy. I'm a transfer student. Again, we've already established this. I just arrived in Beijing not too long ago, and now I'm a senior at Yingnan High School. The reason I chose this school was because I had a serious crush on a girl here. But how did you... How did you know she was at the school before you went there? What? Okay, super stalker. Just a few days ago, I was, quote-unquote, fortunate enough to be her partner in a doubles tennis match on my first day at the school. I was so glad at first that I thought the goddess had finally smiled upon me. Yet, I was totally embarrassed because I had never even played tennis before. This guy uses a lot of emojis. Since then, I had made up my mind. I was determined to improve my tennis skills, just in case I had another chance like this. I adjusted the serve speed of the ball machine, walked back to the baseline, raised my racket, and got ready. In order to get better, I had bought a season membership at this club. I even finished watching all 178 episodes of the Kid of Tennis anime. I had complete faith in myself. I believed I could make it work this time. Determination! The next time I got to play with her, I would show off my kick serve, my pickup volleys, my drive D, and even my zero-style slices to her. And she would look at me with admiration. Sure. The ball machine shot the ball out with a pong. The ball was flying at 140 kilometers an hour. Ah! What a sneaky machine. How dare it serve the ball when I wasn't paying attention. Oh gosh, my wrist really hurts. The doctor said that I had hurt my tendon, and I needed to rest my right hand for at least a month. He said I shouldn't even use a mouse, not to mention playing tennis. No. Doctor, I want to play. My dear goddess of fortune, if you can hear me, please heal my wrist. If it's necessary, I will even swear off video games for a month, as a sacrifice to you. That's a bet. Please. Jimmy. Just Jimmy. Alright, let's see here. I didn't mean to switch over to her letter, but let's see. What can we... The speed of the ball. How is that going to make a difference? In these two letters, there are some special restrictions. Special restrictions? Yes. Remember when I told you that the white pieces could be moved anywhere? Except past the first and black pieces in the letter, of course. Yes, I do remember. When special restrictions are in place, that will no longer be the case. For instance, in these two letters, the two pieces 140 kilometers per hour and 180 kilometers per hour are in conflict with each other. That means they cannot be moved to the same side. If you try to do so, they will automatically switch places with each other. Okay. Both pieces are labeled with a double-headed arrow, which stands for conflict. In addition to conflict, there are other special restrictions, such as sequence. We'll deal with that when we see it. For now, you just need to remember that all of the pieces with special restrictions will be labeled with a red sign like this on the right side. Hold up, my cat's scratching at the door. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. And this is only the next piece of dialogue after the last one that I just read. Okay, I'll keep an eye out for it. Alright, so if I just switch these around, it's going a little bit slower. Maybe it won't put him into a coma? Let's see. But also the gust of wind is what blew it off the path and made it hit Mr. Wynn in the head. Let's see what happens here. Both of their stories are going to change, obviously. I shuddered a little. Before I realized it, the ball was already right in front of me. I was so startled that I had to awkwardly block the ball with the racket. And I happened to hit the ball. The ball was too quick and it bounced off high up in the air. It was a perfect parabola. Okay. And then it hit an old man who was practicing nearby. He ran over to me angrily and started yelling, "God dang, Jimmy, what?" I kept bowing and apologizing, and I was nodding like a pecking hen. People in the real world are so scary. Just so relatable, man. That's so relatable. Oh, man. Alright, so that was it for him. The ball hit the forehead of the tank top guy exactly as I wanted. But it bounced off and fell softly to the ground. The guy tumbled and fell to the ground. Before the second man realized what had happened, I sprinted towards his back as fast as I could. I smashed his head with my racket and all of my strength. Then I grabbed Mr. Wynn's hand and ran towards the end of the alley. But I didn't see that the first guy had already stood back up. It felt like Mr. Wynn had let go of my hand and thrown his entire body onto my back. And then I felt him slowly collapsing to the ground. I turned around and Mr. Wynn was lying on the ground, unconscious. There was a pool of blood and it was getting larger and larger. Mr. Wynn had to be hospitalized afterwards. Since he couldn't teach for a long time, he lost his job as well. Damn. I mean, things went well for both of them. Let's look at the history here. Let's see, actually, let me see, if I leave the gust of wind on her side, it's still gonna hit him in the head, but let's just see what happens. This is just for experiment's sake. Before I realized it, the ball had hit me right in the forehead. It was so fast that it would be sure to cause serious damage if it hit someone. And it would be worse if it hit someone in the head. In any case, I don't remember anything afterwards. Yeah. They told me that someone else practicing at the court had called an ambulance for me. There are good people in this world, I suppose. Or it must be because I had been such a great person every day. That must be what they call good karma. I guess. The ball was blown off its path by the wind and fell softly to the ground. Mr. Wynn noticed me. So did the two robbers. The tank top guy took one step towards me. I began to picture how they would force me into the corner, pull a chainsaw out from behind them, and cut me to pieces. Oh no, I couldn't stay there any longer. Mr. Wynn, you can fight them! I screamed silently in my head and ran away with my hands covering my face, leaving Mr. Wynn there by himself. The next day, Mr. Wynn came back to school. He didn't seem hurt either. Although I couldn't imagine how he had gotten away, I was really happy that everything was okay. However, I didn't have the courage to go back to the art class anymore. That sounds about right. I'm gonna retry again. I don't think there's too many endings. There's only one more possible ending, which would be to switch these back out and just have the ball move over here. Let's see what happens. I shuddered a little. Before I realized it, the ball was already right in front of me. I was so startled that I had to awkwardly block the ball with the racket, and I accidentally hit the sweet spot. And it actually felt really great. Wait, had I just hit it? The sweet spot? What do you mean? Like, for perfect bounce? I don't... Yes, I had. I had just hit an underspin shot. An underspin is a technique in tennis where the ball is hit by slicing downward at the contact point, forcing it to have a backspinning rotation. Okay. Oh, wow. I knew how to hit an underspin now. Banzai! Okay. I jumped up and down with excitement. People nearby were shooting me, admiring, quote-unquote, strange looks. What does banzai mean? Was he hurt? No, banzai is a Japanese phrase. It means hooray. Although, based on my observations, lots of people outside of Japan use this word as well. Yes, we do. They are from many different countries, and most of them are men. Oh, and they share another common characteristic. What is that? They're all single. I knew it was going to be a joke. Single? What's wrong with being single? Everything. Being single, quote-unquote, hurts. In the end, bonsai still means hurt, right? See, bonsai means being single, and being single means it hurts. This is very straightforward. I think I'm single too. Bonsai. Alright. The ball hit the forehead of the tank top guy exactly as I wanted. He fell down to the ground with a thud, like a brick. Oh yeah, you knocked him the fuck out. Before the second man realized what had happened, I sprinted towards his back as fast as I could. I smashed his head with my racket with all my strength. Like the side or the bouncy part? Then I grabbed Mr. Wen's hand and ran towards the end of the alley. 10 minutes later, I was panting heavily and realized I had already run all the way back to my apartment building. Oh, and I was still holding Mr. Wen's hand. Mr. Wen, excuse me. This is where I live. I quickly let go of his hand. Well, I might as well do a home visit then. Shall we? What? Home visit? What? Is that a thing? Home visit? For a senior? Yeah. What? By an art teacher? Mr. Wen, actually, there's no one else home. Oh God, this is not about to get baka on me, is it? I walked in front of him and explained. Do your parents always work late? Mr. Wen looked up at me while climbing up the stairs. The sunlight coming through the windows in the hallway was making him squint. I thought it was like nighttime. Okay. No, I live alone. No, wait, it's the afternoon. What am I talking about? I stopped in front of room 413. But Mr. Wen didn't follow me. He stopped in front of room 414. He pointed to the door next to him with his thumb and smiled. That's right. Weren't they next to each other? And she like walked into his apartment while he was trying to kill himself or something. Yeah. I suddenly remembered. The first day after I had moved in, the manager uncle's son had told me that a very famous artist from abroad had been living in the apartment next door. So that was him. We had actually met each other before. Yeah, that is true. Things went absolutely well for both of them. I'm gonna leave it there and continue. But I'm also gonna end this episode here. Now we've covered, I believe, a good chunk of ground. Things are looking up for Carlos and Chang. Well, kind of up for Chang. I mean, he got suspended, but at least the couple was saved. Things are definitely looking up for Carlos. He's got a lead on his sister, and I'm assuming the guys in the suits are probably the people that kidnapped his sister. Or maybe it's Chang and Kang here doing their thing. I don't know yet. But also for Li Wen and Jimmy, things have moved on here. Li Wen seems to be getting a little baka with Mr. Zhao Ren over there. And Jimmy's having an okay time. He's getting better at tennis. Maybe he can impress Lee. But we'll have to see about that. Maybe in the next episode. And hopefully I can pump these out a little bit quicker to you. Because now I actually have less interruptions. I had to move back in with my family. So I don't have my friends coming over to my apartment all the time to interrupt me. Hopefully. I don't know. Anyways, again, I'm going to end this episode here. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.